Hi there, I'm Jules from Stone Soup, and in this video I'm going to share with you my 7 most favorite easy cooked cabbage recipes, and I'll share more about myself at the end. So let's dive in. So cabbage, I love it. Can't get enough cabbage in my life. So first is, come off the rank, is Daria's egg fried cabbage. So Daria is a friend of mine, and this egg fried cabbage is like such an amazing dish. So basically, it's like sliced cabbage, then you're just cooking it in a wok or a frying pan or a pot until it goes soft, almost like noodles, and then tossing in some eggs and then cooking until the eggs are cooked, and then just seasoning it with soy sauce. So it's 3 ingredients. It is so comforting and so good, and I love it because actually this applies to all the recipes, but I love cabbage because you can keep a cabbage in the fridge for like, I think I've definitely had one in the fridge for like a couple of months before from the farmer's market. And so it's just a really great, easy go-to meal. So Daria's egg fried cabbage. Okay, number 2, we have halloumi and cabbage hash. So this is something that I was actually inspired by a guy I was following on Instagram, and he posted a halloumi hash, and I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And I was like, oh, if I put some cabbage with it and some spices, and then serve it with an egg to give it a bit of extra protein. So it's got that. It's a bit of like a few different pots because you're frying the halloumi and you're frying an egg, but it's totally worth making some extra dirty dishes because it's just so delicious. Yes, so that's number 2. We've got number 3, my magic sausage and cabbage supper. So this is probably one of my most popular recipes of all time. Basically, it's like you're getting chopped up cabbage and some onion, putting it in a roasting tray, roasting it for a bit, and then putting some sausages on top, and then putting it back in and roasting until the sausages are cooked. So it's just like one of those easy sheet pan meals. But the amazing thing is like the cabbage cooks down with the sausage juices into this like, it's just such a delicious, comforting, beautiful plate of goodness. And then I usually serve it with either just plain mustard, or this is actually some whole grain mustard mixed with mayonnaise, just to make a really easy sauce that goes well with the cabbage. Yes, so good. And if you're not a sausage fan, you can always do it with chicken or other protein as well. Like, it works really well. Okay, then we have number 4. So number 4 are my wonderful cabbage wedges. So basically the idea here is cutting a cabbage into wedges, and then I wrap it in foil and roast it in the oven until the cabbage goes super soft and succulent. And it actually just, when it has that texture, it's really like having pasta. And I got this idea from, there's a local restaurant, one of my faves. Shout out to the guys at Rebel in Canberra if you ever happen to be coming to the ACT in Australia. And he does the cabbage wedges. So he cooks them in foil, and then he finishes them, he chars them on the barbecue, and he serves it with a tahini sauce and then fresh herbs like mint and parsley and coriander. And so you get the cabbage is really melting. You get the rich, like creamy sauce, and then you get the herbs for freshness. So it's like such a beautiful dish. But I really love how the cabbage cooks down, and it really tastes and has that texture, that comforting texture of like pappardelle, like those wide ribbon noodles, like that pasta. And so I love serving these wedges with just a good old bolognese, so with some shaved parmesan on top, and it's just like way more satisfying. And the great thing about it is, like, rather than having a big bowl of spaghetti, like, you feel energized and you feel good afterwards. And perfect if you need to be gluten-free. Okay, and then number 5, Cabbage Chow Min. So this is a similar idea to using cabbage instead of like as pasta, but in this case, using cabbage instead of like Chinese noodles. And so what we're doing is, I actually for this one usually use bought cabbage, like the shaved cabbage in a bag, the coleslaw mix, and then just stir frying that, and then tossing it in with some cooked meat. So usually I think in this picture I've used ground pork. So browning the pork, tossing it in with the cooked cabbage, and then using some oyster sauce or soy sauce to season, then some fresh herbs and coriander or parsley to make it look pretty, but certainly not essential. So yeah, I love that chow mein. And like, if you wanted, you could toss some noodles in as well, but I find it really satisfying without. Then we have number 6, so my quick tuna, cabbage and pesto. So this is another take on using cabbage instead of pasta, and basically like cooking the cabbage and then just tossing it through with some canned tuna that you've drained and a pesto sauce. So it's like 3 ingredients. So simple, so good to have in your repertoire. And if you're not a tuna fan, of course, you could use other types of protein, but if you are a tuna fan like me, it's just like, it's so good. And then we have lucky number 7. Oh no, I forgot to do a title for this one. Oh, how did that end up there? Well, that's the cabbage and tuna pesto. Okay, we're good. I'm ahead of myself with my images. Okay, now we're up to lucky number 7. And so number 7 is spiced cabbage and feta. And this is like, yeah, I just love this on so many levels. Like cabbage, because it's relatively not bland, but it doesn't have a super strong flavor. It goes really well. It complements other flavors really well. So in this case, using some spices, and you could use curry paste, or I've used a Moroccan spice blend in this called Ras El Hanout, which is just so good. But even you could just do a simple one with just ground coriander or just ground cumin. And then so you're cooking the cabbage, tossing it with the spices, and so it's got a bit of the spiced oil, and then serving it with crumbled feta and parsley leaves and some almonds for crunch. And often if I was doing this, I'd probably add some eggs as well, just like a boiled egg or a fried egg to give it a bit of extra protein, or you could use tofu. But that cabbage base, that spiced cabbage is like, it's so good. And that's it for my 7 top cabbage recipes. So and just to introduce myself, if you're not familiar with stone soup, so my name's Jules, I live in Australia, and my background is I actually am a food scientist, but I've been teaching online cooking classes since 2010, and so I approach cooking from a scientific approach, but also I'm also a minimalist, so I approach it from simplicity as well. So all my recipes have I call them 3+ ingredients. So it's usually 3 main components plus some extra flavoring. So this cabbage would be this last cabbage, it would be like the cabbage and the feta and the spice would be 3 main ingredients, and then I've added some parsley to make it look pretty and some almonds for crunch, but you could do without those. So if you've enjoyed this, if you want to see the full recipes for these any of the dishes that I mentioned, definitely subscribe to my channel and check out the link in the below the video. So that'll have links to all the recipes on my blog.